Like even if I was in a job, even honestly, I was in a really great position before when I was a, high performing corporate recruiter, and, I had a base salary, but then I also had commission on top of that. And I was making great success and great money with that. But somehow there was still a cap, a ceiling to what I'm capable of. And I just didn't want that. And so I think that was the start of that. And then having my brick and mortar, I also realized that if I were ever going to have children, that was never going to be possible, because there wouldn't be any time for that. And so I decided to start a business with the intention that if I wanted kids, that I would be able to stay home with them. And so honestly, I am just with Fit to Profit so much more so now, and more motivated, one, because of the freedom that I always, desire for myself. And also now I have the children as a more of like, they're my motivator. Like now I honestly feel like whatever it is I get to create for myself, it's basically my ceiling is going to be their floor. Like I want that for them. Yeah, I want that for them. And because I didn't have much, honestly, growing up, and things were like hard. And I mean, I'm a much stronger person today because of that. But going to school, going to college full time and working full time, and, having to help pay rent for the family and put food on the table, it's actually was hard, and I never want that for anyone, not to mention my own children. And so perhaps that's like a long version of my answer to really share with you, is that ultimately, I do believe that we can have it all, and that we can have whatever it is that we want to have, but it's a matter of like having that desire. And I think for me, I think I always had this fear of missing out in life. And for me, if I have to be in a job, or if I have
real.
Yeah. If I have to be told what to do or something like that, that's like me missing out in my life and doing what I want and all of that. So yes, for all the moms who are listening, or non-moms, doesn't matter, but for you to really consider that it's possible. It's possible. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's another potentially difficult question. What does it mean? Because I know that, one of the things that you're mission driven is to teach financial independence, right? Was there a time in your life, or how do you work with clients and talk to them about what it means to be dependent, and what keeps them dependent, and how to shift that? Because there is no, we invest a lot of time and money into businesses, right? And into being successful entrepreneurs. But you and I have also spoken about, some very expensive mistakes that we've made along the way. And not everyone has, built-in support, whether it's a spouse or family or savings or a job that pays enough that, you can invest in a side project or a side business while still keeping a roof over your head. To me, that's part of a meaning of dependence. And so how do you work with people and talk about going from dependence to independence?
Yeah. And so let's just start from the very beginning. I mean, again, one of the reasons—
I know that was a loaded question. So
yes, absolutely. No, I love it. So first of all, let's start with like the beginning of time, like with everything, why I do what I do is ultimately, as I have shared, I grew up with, yes, I would say poverty. Like I lived in a third world country. I mean, I came from Vietnam as an immigrant and all of that. So I know what it's like to not have all the things, you know what I mean? Because we had very little. So that's why it's my passion and my inspiration, and really my mission is to, number one, never have to worry about that, and never would want anybody have to go through that kind of hardship. So that's a start. And for me to have that conversation with my clients in terms of how to be, independent and, financially independent, it's just, well, first to really start with what that really means for each individual, right? So, financial independent could just means that for someone is they can pay the bills and, like live comfortably. Or financial independence could be for someone who just build a 6-figure or 7-figure business and then leaving like behind trust for their kids and things like that. So I would definitely, the conversation start with why do you want it? right? Like, why do you want it in the first place? Why does it really matter to you about being financially independent? And then the second question would be, what does that look like? What does financial independence look like for you or feel like for you? And like, what do you want to be happening around you? Because ultimately at the end of the day is you can be financially independent, but you can be miserable.
Oh, 100%.
So, and what the kinds of financial independence I'm talking about is completely, not having to rely on someone. Like it could be not relying on, getting a paycheck, from working a job. You get to, really own your value by going out there and creating the work that you're worth, that's worthwhile for you. And that could be financial independent. Right. And
Right.
then being supported by someone, and we're just going to keep that separated in terms of like when you're married and you're living with someone and you guys are sharing finances and things like that. That's also a choice. And that you have to be financially independent to have that codependent relationship, because otherwise, as you already know that, and I'm sure you have heard of friends who have challenges of where like the man is making all the money or the woman is making all the money, and there's always
a power struggle.
Yes, so there's problems in that too, right? So you have to be able to be financially independent on your own in a way, like you can pull your own things, and then when you're together, then like that's a different situation. But financial independence for me is you don't have to worry about money. Honestly, for the longest time, and this is actually was my limiting belief too, is like, how am I going to be able to pay the bills next month? Or like we were living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
And that was not financial independence for me. So financial independence for me is I don't have to worry about when I'm getting paid. Right. I don't have like, my bills are taken care of, that I don't have to worry about when am I going to be able to pay that bill or living paycheck to paycheck. That's that's the first step. Right. Yeah. And then secondly would be, are my kids' tuition, like college tuition, put away? You know what I mean? Like if I choose to, I love my work. I can't imagine like stop coaching or building my business, I don't know, until I'm 80 or 90, whatever. But if I want to, the goal is financial independence for me within the next 10 years, 15 years, I have the option to retire if I want.
Sure.
What if I want to become a full-time writer? I don't know, and live by the beach. That's possible.
Right.
So so financial independence would be like, do you have the financial backing or support or what access or whatever it is to ultimately live the ultimate lifestyle without having to worry about it? So you get to definitely define your own level of financial independence of what that looks like. For some, it's not much, but for others, it could be much more. It really depends. But it's possible. And that's why I feel like it's possible for every single person, even for those who think like, oh my gosh, I'm a single mom and it takes time to build that. And it takes like really strategic planning. And ultimately it takes drive and commitment. That's the two things that if I give out for like as my secret sauce or like the ultimate, key to success is you just have to be committed and you just have to be really driven to your vision of what it is that you want for yourself.
Driven, and I would imagine, and we've talked about this, that it's hard work. Anything that's worth achieving in life is hard work, right? Whether it's in our jobs, our relationships, our friendships, it takes effort. It takes building blocks, right? No, that's amazing. For me, financial independence was instilled in me. It's not about having this lavish lifestyle or, living like one of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. It's kind of like what you were talking about, not having to live paycheck to paycheck. I remember growing up, my dad telling me, you want to get to a point financially, and to me, this is what financial independence is where you're comfortable enough, not just that you can pay all the bills and not have to worry, but that if an unexpected expense comes up, it's not a problem. It's just annoying. It's not something you wanted to spend money on, but you can, and you don't have to sweat about it.
Mhm.
And that to me is, for me personally, is, the ultimate goal. And I know that, you're going to help me, and I'm going to help other people, to achieve that. But that's how I define it. What I'd like to hear you talk a little bit more too about is, what does it mean to you when you describe building wealth from the inside out? What does it mean? What does it mean to be wealthy on the inside?
Yeah, so let's I love that question, and I love that you put that down as a question you want to know about. But before then, since we're talking about financial independence, and let's uh, Malinga has a question specifically: has your view on financial independence evolved with you, or has it stayed the same? And you know what, this is a fascinating question for me, because honestly, you know what? I think for me, it has always been the same. It's been the same in the sense that for some really amazing and miraculous reason, even when I was young, like when I was much younger, and this is when I was 15, and like this is the story that I get to tell, where I really first get to really feel or at least experience what it's like when there is wealth in a way. I was 15. I was working at a hair salon as a receptionist, and um this salon is a very high-end salon in a very affluent area where I was living. I'm still in that area now, and I can tell you the cost of each of this person's like haircut or like service, it's like close to what I was getting paid on a monthly basis. And that is just mind-boggling for me at 15. I mean, of course, I was so proud though for making, I don't remember, it's been so many years now. I think it must have been like $300 or $500 a month or something like that. It's like, I don't remember. But there could be a client who went in for service, came out, and her bill was like $850. And I'm sitting here thinking, wow, what does that feel like if I could make that much money? Or, and what's really fascinating for me in that experience was these people are so happy, which is so completely different than how I have perceived or what I was taught about people with money. I was taught that money is evil, that people who are with money are sleazy or unhappy, and that yes, and it's so completely opposite to what I was taught. And I think from that moment, now in retrospect, thinking back, is when that was the first time when my limiting belief, according to what we were talking about, my limiting belief was busted, like through an experience that I was having. And I use that story to answer you, Malinga, is that from that moment on, I really knew that it was available, right? Like, it's available. There's this person spending $850 like on a hair service. And so that's available from somewhere. And I always had this vision that one day I will be that person, that I can spend $850 on a haircut or whatever it is, and walked out so happy and delighted, and like, I'm on top of the world. And I always had the vision, and honestly, that's what's really carrying me through in everything that I was doing up until now, running my business. Is I always had the vision that I know that I was destined for wealth, then that I'm like, for whatever reason, that I am also destined for greatness. Not only am I going to be financially independent and I will be wealthy, but I would also be that that amazing person that everybody wants to be around, and not like that sleazy person that I, had envisioned. And so honestly, my vision about being financial independent or what I can create hasn't really changed, but it gets more vivid. Like, it gets more vivid in a way where I'm like so clear on, how I want to travel, so clear on where I want to stay, so clear on what I want to wear, and where I want to shop from, things like that. So, if you have that inkling, whatever it is that's inside you, that's pulling you to like, yeah, I really am thinking that I'm destined for greatness and I'm like really meant to do something big with my life, answer to that. Because that's what's getting me through all of these years of hardship and everything up until this point. I mean, it's not all rainbows and unicorns all over here all the time. Absolutely not. But that's why, honestly, every time a challenge comes up, I'm like, bring it, because you know what? I'm going to overcome it. And then next, because that's one more challenge or one more problem closer to my ultimate goal of being financial independent. So that, I hope that answers your question in terms of, has it really changed for me? No, probably not, but it just gets that much better. Like as like now I can really, I kind of taste it. Like I can taste it and like it's coming and I know I'm working towards it and it's fascinating and it's really so powerful. Awesome.
Great, thank you. I was like, did she answer your question or did she just go off on this amazing, lovely tangent?
Yeah, and no, she said thank you. And so to answer your question, and the reason why I wanted to answer that question first, because that leads into what you're asking me about, Stephanie,
Yeah.
is building wealth from the inside. Okay.
Right.
So when I am talking about building wealth from the inside, is all about knowing your self-worth and knowing that you are worthy.
Right.
One of the reasons why I really am embarking on this journey, obviously, is because like I had, traumatic, childhood experiences. I didn't have much growing up, and I was told to be quiet, and that like my voice was not like, doesn't matter. And I had to overcome, and I'm still healing from all of those traumas and all of those experiences. And what I realized was like the moments that it really hit home for me was when I realized I need to begin to really love myself. And then from there, create whatever it is that I want to create. Because if I don't value myself and I don't feel like I am deserving, honestly, I wouldn't be going out there, which I didn't in the past. I wasn't going out there doing the things that is going to get me the results that I deserve. So it's really starts with you really building yourself up, loving yourself 100%, and knowing that you have a gift, you have whatever it is to give. And especially when you are a mom, you have created a human.
Right.
Like that is not like that. No one can ever trade that kind of work for what you're able to do. And have to be able to know that you are worthy regardless of your experiences, what you look like, where you come from, things like that. Because without that confidence, without knowing that you are worthy, you are not going to be able to go out there with confidence, power, and drive to do whatever that you need to do to be wealthy. And guess what? If you just think about it, if you feel like, oh, that's okay, I all I need is a t-shirt. I'll be okay with that. I'll just wear a t-shirt, right? Then you don't have to work that hard. You can just buy a t-shirt anywhere, to put on you. But if you feel like, no, I love myself, I am worthy, I am beautiful, and I want to wear a dress. So you're going out there and work for getting yourself a dress.
Right.
Whatever it may be.
Whatever
And
the analogy. Yeah.
yes, and Virginia is saying, thank you, Virginia. She's saying, holy cow, I'm enjoying this so much. And yeah, it has to really come from you. And wealth is built from the inside out in that sense. Because without all of that, all the materials and everything else outside of you, it's not happening.
Right.
And so honestly, your self-worth is your net worth. If you look at your bank account right now, and it's not, and I know this is a really hard truth that I had to face. And I have to get real with myself sometimes too. I'm like, I want to make X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, how are you feeling about yourself right now? You need to work on you before you want to make that happen. And so if you're not creating the wealth or you're not creating the financial success that you have in your life right now, look back in within yourself. Are you valuing yourself? Are you loving yourself to that level for you to have that level of success, that level of, you know, financial abundance? That is the question. And that's what it means to really build wealth from the inside.
Wealth and worthiness, right?
Yeah.
So is that something that clients can expect to get from you when they're being coached? Is
100%. 100%. And it's interesting that this is a recurring question, is like one of the very first thing that I do with my business owners is we look at, like, first thing, like, of course, it's with existing business owners who have been in business and they have a business model and all of things. We don't have to set up the foundational stuff. But the first thing I go, like, of course, the symptoms is always, I'm not making enough money in my business. Okay, I get that. Okay. Mm-hmm. But then the next thing I ask is, how much are you charging? How much are you charging for your services? Because
you're asking this to your clients, correct?
Yes. Okay. Yes. The second question is always, how much are you charging for your services? Because if you really think from a business standpoint, if you charge $500 an hour versus $3,000 an hour, you already know the math, right? Mm-hmm. But the symptom of why someone is not making money is, chances are, because they're not charging enough. And the reason why they're not charging enough, or what I'm saying, charging their worth, is because they don't value themselves. They don't value themselves because they have low self-esteem.
No, it's true. I mean, I had that moment, I think, before I even met you, and it's true. I remember trying to put a price tag, you know, on services that I was offering. And, you know, I was working with a coach at the time and just thinking, this woman is crazy. Like, I can't charge that much. And she said, Stephanie, you're worth it. Someone reached out to you. And if you confidently come back with, this is how much it, you know, this is going to be, this service, you're not charging per hour with services, right? Mm-hmm. It's a package, it's a plan. It's, you know, it's not a 9-to-5 salaried thing, right? When you're working with clients. And it was the most empowering thing to realize I needed a little bit of a push. So I'm imagining that that's probably a lot of what clients come to you for and with is getting that, you know, knock in the head and like, hello, you know, you are worth something and you're valuable. And so having someone like you to remind me or to tell me again, depending on what else has gone on in my life since, you know, I last went through that period of coaching or, you know, my entrepreneurial endeavors 5-10 years ago. It's so true. We undervalue ourselves, and therefore the wealth is not there in turn. It's like exactly and perfectly the way you've put it. We have to be wealthy on the inside. And I love that metaphor because it's so true. It's if your bank account is empty, like you said, your self-esteem is likely like sinking or near rock bottom. And so I would love to hear more about, you know, how you work with clients on, you know, tackling that, you know, because is it possible to continue to grow a business while you're still growing on the inside, right? I mean, we're all always growing, right? We're all always evolving. The more we know, the more we know that the more we know, the more we realize that we don't know anything, right? And so yeah, how do you help people work on both? You know, fill one bank and fill the other, like, and you know, does one have to come before the other? Can they move succinctly? Yeah.
That's a fantastic question. I love it. And I love this segment just as much. I hope you are enjoying listening in too. It's definitely, remember, your self-worth is your net worth. So what comes first is always going to be your self-worth, not the other way around.
Right.
So the money does not define how successful you are or how worthy you are. It's the other way around. So how I work with my clients is, especially with business owners, is we work on both. Well, the tactical or the strategy first is I suggest them raise their rates. Then they have to work with all the mindset stuff that comes up, and a lot comes up, I tell you. And I sometimes have clients who would fight with me for months before, like not fight in a way that is destructive or anything, but in a way like they resist it. Like push back and resisted me for months, and found like so many reasons why no, I shouldn't charge that much. My clients wouldn't pay, you know, whatever it may be. And they resisted for a long time. But that's the first step, is this is the work. So the strategy, which I call, is we're going to raise your rates. And then the mindset work, which is 80% of business is mindset, 20% is strategy. And then we go and work on, okay, why are you not quoting your new rates? What's happening? What comes up? You know, like, how are you justifying that? And then we talk about their limiting beliefs, right? Like, what are the challenges? What are the triggers? And ultimately, in one of my courses actually coming out, a program coming out July 5th, is that we talk about money personalities. Just like how we all have personalities of, you know, introvert, extrovert, and such. We all also have money personalities, depends on how we were raised around money.
See, and I would put it, and I this is another way of putting it, but as your relationship with money.
Yes. So we talk about your personalities, of course, with like, oh, are you a spender? I'm a spender, big time spender, right? And then yes, you're a spender. And then how's your relationship with money? Because you are the spender, because you have that money personality. And it's good to look out for in terms of the reason why you are that personality, because that's how you were raised. So for example, I was raised to be both a spender and also like a martyr at the same time, because I feel like I should not charge people, because I'm a good person. So I should never charge people money for my services. And then, but I love to spend the money. So imagine that, right? For the longest time, I was broke because I don't want to charge people for money, but anything that I can charge, make or earn, I use it and spend it all.
Right.
So, you know, it's good to understand that. And the core of it's really understanding how you were raised around money. And as I've shared already, I was raised that money is evil. So of course, if I am thinking in my mind and subconsciously or consciously that money is evil, and I'm a good conscious person, I'm going to push money away because I don't want to be the evil person. You see? So subconsciously, I was doing everything I could so I wasn't making, so that I wouldn't make that money. Isn't that crazy? But over here, I know that I was destined for like to be a self-made millionaire. You know, so, you know, the work here is so interesting, where you get to really see all of that about yourself, you know, to really look at, yes, your self-worth on that level, really understanding yourself, getting really intimate with yourself of like, this is what you think, this is how you think about money. And then couple with that is going out there and practicing asking for the rate that you know that you're worth, you know, the amount and things like that. So that's what I work with my clients to do, is to like combat both ends of the spectrum.
So before I go, I see Malinga has another question, but I kind of wanted to piggyback real quick on what you're saying. Well, my thought just, I just had a fleeting thought. I'll come back to it. All right, so Malinga, she said, how do you work with a partner that has the opposite money personality that you do?
Oh, I can relate to you. Guess what? I'm a spender and my husband is the savior. He like saves every single penny. Okay, I'm just going to use that as an example.
Oh, I know.
So to really, honestly, with anything, even if when it comes to personality, in ensuring that you know how the person operates, and so that way you guys can meet in the middle, that's great, because knowing what it is that they need, right? So for honestly, for a spender, it's easier to convince me when you want to buy something. Like he can just come to me like, because I want to buy it. Like if he tells me I want, because I deserve it, I want to buy it, I'll be like, yes, you do. you know, like that's an easy way to convince me. But of course, if you have somebody who's opposite from you, you know, if you can chat in here and I can be more specific, what is their money personality? So either they're a spender, they are a martyr, they're a savior, or yeah. So out of the three, which one are they? And it can be more specific with how you can handle that situation.
Let's see if Malinga, can you?
He's a savior. Yep. So same situation. Yep. Same situation. So for me is that I have to come to him, especially usually people who saves, most of them are analyzers. Okay. Meaning like they really want to make sure that it's a good investment and that is whatever it is really worth it, you know, and things like that. For them, I would say to give them some research, you know, around it. Like why is this item the thing that we need to really invest on? You know, they want to really see that whatever, because they work so hard, right? For whatever it is they want to save. So they want to make sure that the investment is a sound investment. So for us spenders, we usually don't do research. I know I don't on anything. Like it's just because I know that's what I need right now. And that's what I'm going to get because I can afford it, you know? So
it's more impulsive.
Yeah. So it's more for us to really do the extra work of really ensuring that we have the information to provide that person so they can buy in. So it's just a personality thing. And it's the same thing with working with someone who is completely opposite from you in terms of personality, when there's like introvert, extrovert, vice versa. But that's what I would recommend. And perhaps is, you know, invite that person to the concept that I'm sharing with you of like, did you know that we have personalities, but we also have money personalities? And guess what? I just realized, and without like being like you this, but you can say, do you know, I just learned that, you know, I'm a spender, so I can be actually more diligent with my money making decisions or my money spending decisions. And they were like, oh, yeah, I've been telling you all along. That's like my husband saying right now. It's like, I've been telling you all along to be more careful with your spending habits and, you know, things like that. But from that, then you can be meeting each other in the middle, but being vulnerable and really sharing more of this is what it could be. And also too, it's just fear of not being able to make it again, right? So it's the idea of operating from scarcity versus abundance. It's for people who tends to hoard or who tends to save and like holding it so tightly. And this is a good thing for you to really think about, is to vice versa. If you are not treating money respectfully, which is me for the longest time, I'm a spender and I spend on anything and everything and whatever I want, I'm not respecting money. And in a way, I'm not really respecting myself, because remember, it's connected to self-worth. If I am not respecting money, meaning I don't respect myself in that way. So you can also think about relationship with money, like Stephanie was saying, treat money like you are in a relationship with it, right? Like that this person is a person. You wouldn't want to throw this person away, you know, carelessly if you really care about it, right? So for a spender, that could be a practice. And then for somebody who loves to save every single penny, is maybe suggest for him to, what if we just put like, and diligently, because they want to make sure that there's a plan. What if we set aside, I don't know, $50, $100, an amount that you can spend on yourself every month? Guess what? That's teaching the person self-worth. The most likely, the person who always is saving money is probably not really valuing themselves. I don't know if that resonates with you, but that is also from my experience, personal experience working, you know, being with my husband for 13 years. Yes, you're saying yes. Yeah, it's so real. It's something that we don't talk about. Unfortunately, we talk about every darn thing. We talk about sex, we talk about religion, we talk about politics, we talk about everything.
No one talks about money.
No one talks about money. and how to really have a healthy relationship with it and how to cope with it really depends
what
on
to do with it.
what we like, yeah, and ultimately what to do with it when you have it. So that's why no one can really contain it, not contain it in that way, but really, have it in abundance and have a good relationship with it because of that.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad to hear that that's something that you tackle, with your clients, and because it's a big deal and it's very taboo, very. So with that, Terry has a question that kind of goes along with what we've been talking about. What was the turning point for you that caused you to be able to change your worth?
Oh, wow. That's a really great question, Terry.
No, don't charge to be able to charge what you're worth. Maybe I misspelled it by accident, or maybe that's a typo.
Oh, or I read it correctly. Yeah. But how about both?
Okay.
So what's the turning point for when I wasn't charging until when I started charging my worth? Yes, Terry?
How did you decide when to charge your worth, or how did you decide? What was the turning point? Is that correct, Terry? Am I?
Yeah.
No, you kept saying that you you didn't want to charge people because you felt you shouldn't charge people, and then somehow, obviously, you made the transition to being able to charge people.
Yes.
So what caused you to be able to do that? Or what
So
caused you to change?
Yeah, no, that's great question. The pivotal moment was when I realized that I was not valuing myself. I didn't want to charge people. It's because I didn't feel good enough. That's what happened. And then until I was like, wow, if I don't feel good enough about myself, of course, I don't want to charge for that. It's like almost like that innate integrity thing, And so that's what happened. And when I was like, wow, I need to really look into that. And the minute I feel like I am worthy because my knowledge, my experience, and everything is worth it, that's the moment where I said, yes, I should be charging, because ultimately I am also, what I got to see too was so real, was the transformation that I was creating in my clients' lives. And that what got me really, hit me really hard was when I can help many more people if I had the means to run my business. If I could, and that means it's not about the money ultimately, because the more that people that I get to help, to work with, the many more people I get to transform. And so if I need to, it's almost like you put the mask on first. If I take care of myself first, making sure that my business have the lights on, then I have the opportunity to make that bigger of a difference. And if I don't make money, I'm going to go out my business. I'm going to go out business. Not only am I going to shrivel up and like disappear because I feel so little about myself, or like I feel like I'm not good enough, but I don't have that opportunity to create the impact that I want to create in the world.
So essentially, I mean, you have to help yourself and you have to value yourself before you can help people and give them value or help them to believe that they have value.
100%.
From any, I can speak from personal experience too. I mean, I went to school for social work. I want to, as the beauty pageant, contestants say, like, I want peace on earth and, all wonderful things and unicorns and glitter and rainbows. But the truth is that that's not enough.
No.
So it really does come down to, we have to help ourselves and sustain ourselves in every aspect of our lives to then help others. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that was exactly what you were just saying. So
yes, and that's it. And yes, so really consider it. And that's why, think about it. If you really think about it from the standpoint of being able to build wealth from the inside, it's so empowering, because guess what? You can't control the market. You can't control the government. You can't, like COVID closed down how many businesses, but you get to build it from the inside, meaning no matter what's happening around you, you keep yourself centered, you keep yourself focused on your vision, you keep yourself healthy, so you can continue to do what you need to do to help and impact the world in that sense. So then in turn, you're really building wealth from the inside. Without like, which is changing that one variable, it's so much easier than changing the rest of the world, right? If you really think about it.
I love that. I absolutely love that. It's beautiful. And it's true. I mean, all of these things are true. So the fact that people can, you know, come to you and, you know, and have these things, you know, kind of brought to their attention as things that are necessary to work on, and you have the tools to give them and to guide them and to coach them, is such is your amazing gift to the world.
Yes. And I just want to, I mean, like, we are closing up to get ready for the next speaker, but if you all have any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat.
Yes,
but I want to remind each and every one of you who is listening on this call right now, is that every one of you have that talent, whether you believe it or not. Whether you've been a stay-at-home mom for 20 years and now like your kids have gone off to college, whatever it may be, you have a skill that no one else does. And I can tell you, if you can be I'm just using this as an example. If you can be a stay-at-home mom for 20 years and raise like a happy family and have successful, you know, relationship with your husband, things like that, that is a lot to teach. There is so many families who are struggling with family dynamic and that need parenting skills, that need to understand how to plan, things like that. And you do that as a parent, even as a stay-at-home mom. Like, that's why I'm talking to moms all the time with like, I've been a stay-at-home mom, I don't have any skill set. I'm like, let me tell you, you know how to rally the troops. That's planning skills, right? That's management skills that eventually can get you somewhere with working with different personalities. If you can deal with a 2-year-old, you know what I mean? Like, honestly, at the end of the day, all of us are little humans inside anyway, you know? So if we can deal with the uncertainties of having kids around and being able to juggle activities and things like that, you are able to do anything. And even if you've been in social work, even if you've been a teacher, you've heard like all of our speakers, they come from all walks of life. And now the entrepreneurs, you have a skill set that no one else does. And your talent, you may have already discovered it or you may not, but it's there. I mean, if you are spiritual, I really invite you to perhaps even have a conversation or ask, like, please lead me to where I can find, you know, my talent, whatever it may be. But you are talented, you have a skill, and you can make it. Honestly, if I can make it, anyone can make it. It just really takes tenacity. It takes commitment, and you just have to want it bad enough. That is all. You know, you can have it, whatever it is you want.
Sign me up. VIP right here.
Well, you're already in it, whether you like it.
I know. But I mean, I want the world to, you know, to have you in their back pocket.
I love it. Yep. So yes, I really believe it. I really do believe it. And especially us women, we're just made, we are designed and we're divinely made to do great things and hard things. And, you know, we can overcome anything as long as we have the breath, we are living, we are healthy, you know, and can conquer the world. Amazing. I'm going to check, is any other questions? I'm going to check on our next speaker. I'm so excited.
We have, it's Barbara, correct?
Yes.
Let's see.
She'll be tuning in soon. I'm so happy to have you ladies here, and great interactions and also awesome questions, ladies. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Malinga. And we have, who else do we have here? Let me see. Yeah, so
Zanoa,
you have been quiet, my sister.
she remains quiet.
Yeah. It's okay. Maybe she's in
it might be because I don't know how to unmute her, but you know.
You can unmute yourself, right, Zanoa? I think she could unmute herself.
She might have stepped away.
Yeah, that's all good. But no, these are great questions.
Well, what can you, before Barbara comes on, can we talk about any teasers that are coming up next for Fit for Profit? Anything next after this summit? You know, what's coming up next? What are you working on?
Yes.
Excited about?
Yes, I'll address that. Malenka, thank you so much for being here with us. She said that's 10:15 over here. She's in the UK. So thank you. And yes, please, let's definitely catch up. You are going to be receiving an email with the replays and such. And definitely let's stay in touch. Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
Thank you for your participation.
Awesome. Yeah, so to answer your question, I am super excited, as I've shared, that we are actually going to be launching our first group and online course July 5th. And I'm really excited right now to be building out everything that involves setting everybody up for it. But if you are definitely interested, you are on in the loop right now because you're registered to our system through Fit to Profit. But I'm very excited about that. And one of the pillars that I will be teaching, as I have hinted already, would be a big portion of the class is all about around, building self-worth, and then also learning about your personality, money personality, and building a healthy money relationship. And I'm really excited about that. And of course, various different ways to make sure that you are equipped to build whatever it is that you want. And especially I am catering this course specifically to women in business, moms in business, who are looking to create consistent 5 figures monthly revenue and beyond.